I'm backing up my truck, I'm gonna hook it up, loading up my boat with all my gear. I've been working hard all week, trying to make ends meet, spending time wishing I was fishing. Whoa, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing. Gather up your gear and come along. Whoa, Terry Wickstrom wants to take you fishing.
This is Terry Wickstrom. Join Karen Cullum, Greg Clajo, and me as we take you to some of our favorite fishing spots from Colorado to Minnesota, the Arctic Circle to Central America and beyond, as we revisit episodes of Mountain States Fishing and Angling Adventures Television on the best of fishing with Terry Wickstrom.
Well, here we are, out in the bay.
Hey, you know, I'm with Gary Darling today. Thanks for joining me, Gary.
Happy to be here.
We're on Glendo Reservoir in Wyoming, and we're going to do some walleye fishing. And you've seen us catch walleyes before, doing a lot of jigging. We've pulled bottom bouncers, but today we're going to do something a little different. Now, just a week or two ago, these walleyes, the water is way up, and these walleyes were way back in the trees. And they were in the shoreline eating the minnows that were spawning the shad.
That's exactly right. And now that the water's dropped a little bit, we think the bait fish has pulled out because they're done spawning, and we think the walleyes followed them. And out here in the middle of the bay, we're going to try to find some suspended walleyes.
We're going to do a little different. Now, you could pull some bottom bouncers, and you could just do some things out here to catch these. We're going to do something you probably haven't done a lot of. We're going to pull planer boards and crankbaits like this Berkeley Frenzy lure. What we're going to do is, we think these bait fish have moved out into the bays. They're schooled up out in the basin of the lake. And we think there's lots of walleyes just chasing and feeding on those. And we're going to pull crankbaits, Sean, and show you how to come up here and catch them.
Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, all right.
Okay.
Let's go. What we've done now is we're just pulling into an area where we think there's fish. Now, what are the keys we look for, Gary? First, you chose this area because it's an area that has the kind of structure and the basins that would hold suspended fish.
Yeah, right now, the fish have all been in the trees for some time because all the bait fish have been spawning in the trees. All the bait fish are about done spawning now, and the water's dropping just a little bit, so we expect the fish to come out and suspend in this bay. And so what we want to do with electronics is we want to set the electronics on manual and set it to about 20 feet. Even though we might be over 60, 70 feet of water, we want to set the electronics about 20 feet. That way we can see what's, 10 feet, 5 feet deep below the boat. If you leave it set deep, you won't see the fish in,
you just don't have enough resolution.
You don't have enough resolution. They look really small, and you don't believe that there's really fish there. So it's really key that you go ahead and set your depth finder on manual and go ahead and set it about 20 feet.
So what we're going to do is we're going to look for bait fish, and we're going to look for fish suspended in the upper part of the water column.
That's exactly what we're going to do.
You know, Gary touched on a real important part of what we're doing now. All fishing is situational. You don't do this all times of the year because the fish aren't going to be here all times of the year. Earlier this year in the spring, the water is real high in this reservoir. The bait fish are back in the brush spawning. Those fish are concentrated back and they're eating those bait fish. What's happening now, the bait fish are done spawning. They're starting to school. It's a shad base, and they're a pelagic fish that roams the open basins of the reservoir. So they're done spawning now. They've grouped together and they're starting to roam the reservoir. Well, the walleyes, the water's dropping, pulled the bait fish out, they're done spawning, the brush is starting to uncover. Those walleyes don't have the easy ambush feeding they had in the brush anymore, but they've got these big schools of fish. They're going to come out and start working on these schools of fish.
Yeah, and you'll catch them high and low. I mean, you might catch one at 3 feet, you might catch another one at 15, because they attack the schools of bait fish from all different levels.
Right, and it's a great way to fish. The key is to find fish and bait fish, work a wide path of lures through them, keep running those lures through them, and it's amazing how fast you can pick up fish when it gets going like this. Because these fish are out here chasing these bait fish to feed. That's the only reason they're here.
Absolutely the only reason.
Warm water, they're hungry, their metabolism is high. Well, let's see if we can take advantage of it. Let's get some of these rods ready.
All right, let's do it.
Well, we're going to get rigged up here now. Gary, let's get these rods and lines out. We got a pretty strong wind blowing. We're going with the wind because that gives us better control when we catch, if we do get into some fish.
That's right. You almost have to when the wind's blowing. You just can't control the boat otherwise.
Well, why don't we get these lines out and let's explain to the people what we're doing when we're getting them out. We're going to run 4 lines, 2 on boards on each side, right?
That's correct, and then flat line on the inside rods.
And the inside rods will probably run a little deeper?
We're in a little deeper, yeah, about 10, 12 feet deep.
Now, the reason we run boards, one reason to get out away from the boat, cover a bigger area. Another reason is we can run them shallower, and if the boat would spook the fish, the board probably wouldn't spook those shallow fish. The deeper lines by the boat were less likely to spook the fish.
That's right.
Which ones do you want to start with?
Well, let's start with the board rods first. We'll get them out and away from the boat, and then we'll put our flat lines out.
And that's right. You know, those are little details are important, like getting the board rod first so you get it out away from the boat. So go ahead here. And all you do with these boards, explain what you're doing here, Gary. How much line do you want out?
Okay, well, we're going to try 40 feet. We'll put this one out 40 feet behind the board, which these small lures that we're using, they're not going to go very deep, about 6 feet maximum on that.
So I'm going to let out, I have a line counter reel here. I'm going to let out 40 feet of line here. And that's the length of line that's going to determine how far behind the board and how deep the lure runs. Okay, I'm out 40 feet. You'll just snap the board on there. There's little clips, we'll give you some close-ups of those later. Now we set this out, you want this out about 80 feet from the boat, right?
About 80 feet from the boat.
Why did you decide on 80 feet?
Just to get them out so we can make turns a little easier. Otherwise, if we're too close to the boards, and it's a little hard to make turns.
So that's just a good distance to get them out, that gives you some control and to get out of your way.
Yeah, and that really only puts the board about 30, 40 feet away from the boat because it trails behind the boat.
Well, another thing that does too is if we do spook walleyes out from the boat, they're going to go out to where these boards are, so we don't want to get too far out. We just want to get far out enough to cover an area, and at the same time, okay, we got this one out. And now you're going to put out the flat line on the same side. Now that we've got this one out away from the boat, he'll let out another line close to the boat right here. And how far are you going out with that one?
We're going to go out 60 feet with this one.
But we're going to end up doing the same thing on the other side. We're going to have 4 lines running. And if we're just going with the wind and no fish on, it's really easy and relaxed. You sit down, have a cold pop. But if we get into some fish, the action gets hot and heavy. Okay, we'll get the other side set up. We're going to do the same thing on this side of the boat now. We're going to let the board rod out first because it can get out away from the boat before we let the flat line out, which will run close to the boat. How far would you like this one out, Gary?
Well, let's try going about 20 feet on that one, bring it up a little bit.
Now I'm going to reset this line counter to 0. Okay, I got 20 feet of line out. This one will run a little shallower than the other side. Go ahead and put the board on. And maybe a fish won't interrupt us this time. You get that out, and you get that board sitting in the water, and let the water pull it. And now we're going to let that out about 80 feet more of line for a total of 100 feet to get it out away from the boat. You know, another thing I might tell you a little bit, you notice the equipment we're using, these are long, what are these, about 8-foot rods, Gary?
8.5 foot on the ones with the boards, and the flat lines are 7.5.
And one of the reasons you need these, they're a little heavier rod. These aren't an expensive rod. This is a fiberglass trolling rod. And you don't need a lot of sensitivity, but you need a long rod that has a lot of give to handle, and it has to be long with enough backbone to keep that line out of the water. One of the things when you're pulling boards, you want to set this up in the rod holder at a high angle like this, and what that does, that keeps that line up so the line to the board is out of the water. Well, if the fish are off the bottom, that bottom monster goes right under them. They'll hardly ever go down to get it.
Hardly ever. Yeah, might be a color, but I don't know. This is on that, yeah, it's a nice walleye on that Frenzy bait.
Nice walleye on the new Berkeley Frenzy lure.
Yeah.
We're testing some of Berkeley's new Frenzy crankbaits. A nice walleye on a Berkeley Frenzy. There we go. All right. Grab the board. I'll get the fish in. You keep steering because we're in the wind, and I'll net this one and play it in. If I can get him up on top.
He's on top.
Now I got
Probably
him.
just lift him in.
I'll hold the net under him.
Nice fish.
There we go. Yeah, when you're going against the wind, you got to take a little more discipline. Let you put down the rod holder, and I'll try to get a hook in me.
The fish will prefer those. We got a big one going here.
Oh man,
good one.
it's pulling hard. With the board on some, it's hard to tell, but there's some heft there. I can't get the board up, so it's pulling hard. Oh, tell you what, this is no fun. I don't know why we're fishing like this. Oh yeah, that's a nice one. Get them up. Once you get their head up, you can pull a pretty good sized fish in like this. All right, not as big as I thought, but just another good live well-sized walleye. Now another thing, you got to be careful fishing with these kind of lures. You got lots of hooks in here, so you got to really watch yourself so you don't get a hook in you. Good pair of pliers is critical. Get the hooks out of the fish. You got all those trebles in there. Get the hooks out. Big enough to keep?
Oh yeah, I think it's make a nice
good
fillet.
eating size. We'll put them in there. You see, we got a nice bunch in here already. Keep the fish off.
No,
There's one
no,
right.
no.
Fish
Hey,
on
here
right
we go,
here.
here we
Fish
go,
on
here
right
we
here. Oh, that's a good pulling fish.
Hey, this is a good fish there.
It's a good fish.
It's a really nice fish.
Bring it in. I'll net it. Oh yeah, look at it. Nice fish.
Oh yeah, I got
Oh,
it.
nice
Whoa.
fish. Oh, it's maybe the best one of the day.
Could be.
It's close. We've caught a few like this, but boy, nice fish.
Keep
Nice
his head
fish.
up. Ooh. If you keep moving, keep the boat moving, you can get their head up. You can just kind of get them right in here. There we go. There we go.
There we go. Oh, I missed him.
Oh,
The lure's tangled in the net. I'll get him. Just. All right. That was close.
That was lucky. That was lucky.
I just missed. I lunged a little too soon. If we'd have been at a tournament, you'd have been killing me.
I'd have been popping in the head with this pole is what would have been happening.
I did that on purpose, folks, just to scare them. Hand me the pliers. I'll get this hooks out of them.
Okay. Here you go.
And then I'll let you get the hooks out of the net.
We gotta go back and get the board. The board popped off on that one.
Yeah. Boy, he's hooked good, that's for sure. He's hooked, the net is hooked. Now this can show you what can happen. If we were to get 2 or 3 other fish on while I'm doing this, we'd have no way to land them.
And you can bet they'd be big.
Oh yeah. This is about the time that 10-pounder will bite. But these are good hooks on these lures. There we go, out of the net. Well, he tried to put those hooks in me just now.
Oh man, he's in there.
Yeah, he's hooked, but good. Let's see if we can get him out. There we go.
All right. Got it.
Glendo walleyes. Way to go.
Fabulous.
We let this one go?
Yeah, let's let him
This
go.
is a nice brood stock size fish. You know, these start getting, this is getting a little big to be a good eating fish. I mean, it would taste delicious, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But we got enough small ones. We'll let this one go back and keep the stock going. I don't know how many we've got today, but it just doesn't quit. This feels like a good fish, Gary.
Does it? All right.
Yes.
Yeah, it is a nice one.
Oh, this is a good fish. Good fish. Good fish. Oh, yeah.
Hey.
All right.
3-er?
Yeah. It's a, oh, nice fat
Nice
walleye.
fat walleye.
Nice fat Glendo walleye. Here's where I get the hooks in me usually. Get the pliers. Where'd the pliers go, Gare?
You had them up here. They are.
Thank you. What's this lure? You know,
2.5.
trolling is a tactic that if it's not part of your repertoire, you got to add it. I mean, you can come out on a pleasant Saturday. We're 3 hours out of Denver at Glendo Reservoir in Wyoming. Well, we must have caught 20 walleyes like this already.
Yeah.
I'm going to put this one back. We got quite a few in the live well already. We've got enough to eat. This one will be here for you when you come up here. Gary, what kind of line do you like to use for this?
I use 10-pound Berkeley Trolling XT. It just seems to hold up really well, and it's just consistent. I haven't had any trouble with it. Even pulling these boards with only 10-pound test line, I've not broken one.
That's exactly the same line I use. I think 10-pound test doesn't give you such a big diameter that you can't get the lure down.
Right.
You go too much bigger diameter than that, the line keeps your lure from getting down to the right depths. And the XT, because of the abrasion resistance, you're snapping boards on. A lot of times we're putting snap weights on too. Now that's one thing we're not doing today, and we might show you that later. A lot of times when we need to get these down deeper, 30, 40 feet, we'll put snap or run a different lure. We'll add a snap weight that actually pulls it down. But today we're running the lures free behind the boards.
Yep. And like you said, that diameter line makes a big difference. You know, I can make 2 feet difference when you're used to doing things a certain way, and you go and change line. Things are different, and a foot can make a big difference when you're fishing, especially for walleye.
And Berkeley XT, we got something going on here. This rod. Another one. It just hasn't stopped for us today, has it?
Oh, it's just ongoing.
What a great way to catch fish.
We've been doing this since about 9, that is a nice fish, since about 9:30 this morning. And we've been catching them steady like this just all day long.
It hasn't stopped all day. Oh yeah, this has got some meat to him. This is a little better fish.
Yes, nice fish.
Get him away from that line.
Got him.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that's a nice fish.
Nice fat walleye.
We're around the pole here. Lure came out too.
You know, we've caught some bigger ones. This isn't a monster, but what a good, look at these, how healthy these fish are, Gary.
Oh, they're just nice and fat.
Good solid walleye. Nice big shoulders, nice fillets. I think we got room for one more in the live well, and that's it. Then we got to start putting them back, I think.
Okay.
You want this one?
Well, let's keep it free for a while.
So let this one go?
Yeah, let it go.
We want one big one.
One big one.
All right.
But we won't keep a big one. But
we'll let this one go. This one will be here for you. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Nice fish. Nice walleye. Tell you what, you want to show me this rod? There's something I do want to show you. One of the lures we're running today are these new crankbaits by Berkeley. It's called their Frenzy lures. Berkeley spent several $1 million just testing all the different actions of this lure. They tested the pitch, they tested the wobble, they back and forth. They tested all the different actions, colors, and shapes. They spent millions of dollars watching fish reaction to fine-tune every one of the parameters that trigger fish bites. So that's one of the lures we're running today. This one I said dives about, well, this is about a 10-foot diver.
About 10-foot diver.
This one dives about 10 feet. We're running this one not behind a board, we're running this one flatline. So we've got a board out on this side. Now I'm going to put this Berkeley Frenzy bait out here. And how far behind the boat you want to run it, Gare?
60 feet.
So we're going to run it 60 feet out. That'll probably put it down, well, I suppose about 6-8 feet?
Yeah, about that.
We'll run that one in the close rod holder.
To get the maximum depth on any lures that you run, you almost have to run 150, 180 feet out of line.
Yeah, that's it.
There's one. There's one right here.
On the Frenzy lure.
On the Frenzy.
Berkeley Frenzy bait.
Wait, see if I can get his head up here. There we go.
All right, once you get the head up. Well, that's a nice fish. Nice fish.
Nah.
That's a 4 or 5 pound walleye.
It's a great fish.
Keep them coming.
Okay.
You lose this, you know, and I'll lose my sponsor.
I'll keep him. I'll keep him. Get him.
All right, look at this. Whoa. Oops.
That's all right.
Glendo Reservoir. Get the hook out of him. Boy, he's hooked good. I got to get some pliers.
Okay. He's a nice walleye.
Oh, that's a beautiful walleye. Beautiful walleye. That's the best fish of the day so far.
Yes, it is.
Did I catch this?
No. I recall reeling that one in.
Glendo walleyes. Pulling boards, pulling planers. Berkeley Frenzy lure. You know what? This could get to be fun.
Yeah, it is.
You know what? If trolling isn't part of your repertoire, no matter what species of fish you catch, you know, that's another good thing to tell people, that these tactics aren't just walleye tactics. Using boards and crankbaits will virtually catch anything that swims.
It will.
Now, you can catch trout. I mean, everybody in the Rocky Mountains loves trout. What a great way to catch trout. Both lake trout, rainbows, browns, depending on how deep they are. Bass, walleyes, wipers. Oh, wipers, that's a great way to catch wipers.
Oh, great way to catch wipers, yeah.
Virtually anything that swims, you can come out, you can take fish like this home to eat them too. So get out, try it, come up, enjoy these Wyoming reservoirs, learn to do some trolling tactics, and you'll have a lot of fun.